Okay, so these are the 5 questions you should always ask when buying a house. And a little background on myself, I am a licensed real estate agent in Virginia, DC, and Maryland, and I've helped people probably buy well over $100 million worth of real estate. And I've also bought and sold numerous houses myself. So the very first question should be, are there any current offers on the property, or have you had any offers previously? And these are questions that you should have your agent ask the listing agent so you can gather all the info needed so that you can make a good offer. And I'll give you a couple of scenarios of what happens when your agent asks that question. So the first thing that might happen, depending on the neighborhood, property, if it's renovated, if it's priced well, the listing agent might say, yes, we have 3 offers, we have 5 offers, and the deadline is at 8 p.m. tonight. You have to get your offer in tonight. So in that scenario, your agent should ask, hey, are the offers over this price? Are they waiving contingencies? Your agent should try to find out as much as possible about the other offers, let you know, and then, quickly turn around an offer. I've had it before where, we can submit offers, sometimes within an hour, 30 minutes. We try to push the deadline if you really want to submit an offer, but you need to just get your paperwork together and whatnot. But we can still get it turned around very quickly. Another scenario that you might run into, the property may have been listed for like 100 days. And you might not think there's any offers, but I always recommend that you have your agent ask, hey, are there any offers? Have there been any previous offers? Because sometimes, even the property that's been listed for 6 months, as soon as you start looking at it, for whatever reason, another person might also be looking at it and submit an offer. So it's always good to know. You don't want to just drag your feet. If you really like a property, you should find out that info quickly. And then it's also helpful to know, about any previous offers. So they might have been listed 100 days or 2 weeks, a month, whatever it may be. And they might say, yeah, we had an offer previously, it was full price, but it fell apart for these reasons. Or they backed out on home inspection, they backed out on HOA docs, they got cold feet, their financing got rejected. You want to try to find out as much as possible about any previous offers. And I also always try to find out what the previous price was of the offer. If they accepted an offer at full price, if they accepted an offer a little bit below, because you want to get that info. Or maybe the seller's not negotiable at all, and they say, look, this is our price. And you can always submit whatever offer you want, but it's just good info to know going into, before you submit an offer. Another scenario that might happen is they say, no offers, it's fully available, but we have had a lot of showings. And, if it's a hot neighborhood, just because it doesn't have any offers yet, it doesn't mean you should lowball. If you really like the property, if it's a hot neighborhood, even if it has no other offers, if you really want that property, you should probably make a pretty strong offer. Because also what happens is once a listing agent gets your offer, they're going to notify the other parties that have shown the property. And if it's a hot neighborhood, it's a nice property, chances are someone else might jump in and make, maybe even a better offer. So that's why you really want to, be strong with that first offer if you really like the property. The next question you should ask is, have there been any major updates done to the property? And you don't need to know every single last update, although sometimes the seller will have a sheet of, the upgrades done over the past 5, 10, 15 years. And they'll say, HVAC done in 2021. They'll say the roof was done in 2020. They'll have it itemized, sometimes with the cost and the actual repair done. So that can be very helpful. But at a minimum, you should know, was the roof done recently? Was the HVAC done recently? Those are kind of the 2 probably biggest expenses you're going to have, besides cosmetic stuff, when you're purchasing a property. And something to add on to that, I've done a lot of home inspections, help people buy plenty of properties. And the home inspectors will always say, if you go to a property and the front yard is unkempt and messy and just disorganized, chances are the rest of the property is going to be like that. So you should factor in almost more repairs if the landscaping and just the curb appeal needs some help. And then the opposite is true too. If everything is perfect and well done on the outside, then chances are, the inside will probably also be nice. I've noticed that as well. And I think there's that quote where it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it definitely applies to real estate. The third question or thing that you want to find out as a buyer is the history of the house. So you want to look at you want to have your agent, or you can do the research yourself, but your agent should look at the transaction history of the property. Has it been sold 10 times in the past 10 years? That would probably be some type of red flag, hey, maybe the house is haunted. Maybe there's some type of other issue. There's one property that I always see pop up on the market. I think it's because it's on a busier road, but I swear this house is always for sale. with different agents, and it sells too. It's not like it's just been trying to sell. It gets sold and then resold and then resold and on and on and on. And that would probably be some type of a red flag if someone is buying and selling it every single year. What I also like to do though as an agent is I'll look at the property history and I'll see the listing remarks from like properties listed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and you'll find out more info. So sometimes, like I was looking at a property recently and the current info, it was decent, it had some info, but I looked at the listing from 3 or 4 years ago and it said the property was listed, it was a 2-unit property. Well, this listing didn't list it as a 2-unit property, but from everything we could gather, it was legally a 2-unit property. And then there's other things like they might say, yeah, the roof was done in 2012, but this current listing might not mention the roof whatsoever. And a 2012 roof is not like it's brand new, but it's also not like it's an original roof either. A 2012 roof can last, 30, 40 years if there's no, major issues with it. And then sometimes what you'll see with properties is that it was sold or bought like last year and then they're reselling it all of a sudden without doing any work. So you'd want to find out like, why are they doing that? I remember this one house, it looked perfect. And we were wondering, we're like, what's going on with it? They just bought it for, whatever, $700,000. Now they're selling it this year for $725,000, whatever it was. And they said, well, the person bought it sight unseen and their commute was so long, they were buying it overseas. Their commute was so long that they had to move closer to a different property. So it could be any number of reasons, but that would be good info to know. The more information you have as a buyer, the better offer you can make. And also with the history of the property, how long has the current listing been listed for? Has it been under contract previously and then fell out of contract? You'd want to find out that information as to why. Has it been listed for 200 days, 300 days? That would be pretty extreme. Or has it, been temporarily taken off the market? Looking at the listing history will give you a lot of information on the property. In this market, pretty much anything that's been listed for over a few weeks, there might be some room for negotiation. Or if a property's been listed for 200 days, you're not going to probably offer anywhere near the asking price. Now, with properties priced in the 2 million range, 3 million, 4 million range, it's actually pretty common for those properties to be listed for a while. There's just less buyers for those types of homes. But in properties, under a million, if it's been listed for a few weeks, few months, 200 days, probably a lot of room for negotiation. So real quick, 10 seconds before we get to the next question you should ask. If you're looking to buy or sell in the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia market, reach out to me below. I would love to assist you. Or if you're buying or selling nationwide, I can put you in touch with an excellent agent. Just fill out the form below. Okay, question number 4, and this is something you should do some research on, and also your agent should provide this info. Your buyer's agent should provide this info for you, and that would be the comparable sales of the home. So for example, I just had a buyer looking in this one specific neighborhood. All the houses were built around a specific time somewhat recently, so the comps were a little bit easier. So I basically pulled up the last 6 comps based on similar square footage, around the same year built, same style, that type of thing. I said, look, here's what the last 3, 4, 5 comparable sales sold for. Yours that you're looking at, it's a little bit nicer here, it's not as nice there. So based on that, and based on the time on market, they've had several price drops. I think we might be able to negotiate a little bit. We're not going to negotiate $100,000 off. This was about a $1 million property. So that $100K on $1 million would be quite a bit. If you're at like a $2 million range or 1.7, 1.8, 100K, not as much. But basically we look at the last 3, 4, 5 sales, take everything into account, find out if there's any other offers. If there's no other offers, if it's been listed for a little bit, you might try to negotiate and make a pretty aggressive offer. And I also let my buyer know, kind of the rough average days on market for this type of neighborhood. So some neighborhoods, everything sells in the first week. Other neighborhoods, it might take on average like 20, 30, 60 days to sell. So every neighborhood is different, and every type of property is different. So in one neighborhood, condos might take 30, 60 days to sell. In that same neighborhood, the single family homes or the row houses, they might sell the first week, multiple offers every single time. So that's also you want to know the neighborhood as well as the actual recent sales. So question number 5, you want to find out why the seller is selling. And it could be any number of reasons. Usually they tell you. Every now and then the listing agent might not tell you, but it could be job transfer. They need to downsize, they need more space, divorce, estate sale. Could be any number of reasons, but it helps you craft your offer if you know why they're looking to sell. For example, if it's an estate sale, I've done plenty of those. They might not want to fix anything. You might say, look, you can leave everything in the house. Don't worry about it. This is what our offer is going to be. It's going to be as is. We're still going to do a home inspection, but it's just going to be like void only. We're not going to nickel and dime you over things. They might just want that peace of mind to get the property, off their plate. And then other scenarios, the person might be like building a house somewhere and they need an extra like 60 days to rent it back. And if it's a competitive scenario, you might give them a free rent back. Or, even if it's not a competitive scenario and you're the only bidder, you might do a lower price, just factoring in that they might need an extra 2 months at the property, or maybe 30 days or some period of time. So thanks for watching, and definitely check out some more home buying videos on my channel.